next oration, Dr. M.P. Raju Mysogus Endowment Lecture. I request Dr. Sachin Dharwadkar, sir, Honorary Secretary KUA, to continue chairing the session. I request Dr. Naveen Etchen, sir, President-elect KUA, to join us on the dais to chair the session.
I now request Dr. Nagesh Simha to come to the stage. I request Dr. Sachin Dharwadkar to introduce the speaker.
This endowment lecture is instituted on the name of Dr. M.P. Raju. Late Dr. M.P. Raju, a young urologist from Mysuru, was born to Sri M. Puttapasappa and Srimati Nagarajamma on 16 September 1961. Hailing from an agricultural family, he completed his undergrad from JJ Medical College, Davangere in March 1985. Later, he completed his MS from Bellary Medical College in May 1990. After working as a lecturer for a brief period in urology department at JSS Hospital, Mysuru, he pursued his urology training at Apollo Hospital, Chennai, and completed his DNB training program in 1996. He rejoined JSS Medical College and Hospital, Mysuru in urology department and continued to work since then. Unfortunately, due to a rare disorder, death prevailed over him and he succumbed to it on 4th February 2007. In memory of late Dr. M.P. Raju, Mysogus has been conducting an annual guest lecture since 2008 during KUACON. This year, Dr. Nagesh Simha is going to deliver a lecture. Dr. Nagesh Simha was born in 1953. He is a distinguished surgeon, educator, and pioneer in palliative care. He earned his MBBS in 1976 and MS in general surgery in 1980 from Bombay University, followed by a diploma and MSc with distinction in palliative medicine from Cardiff University. Honored with an honorary fellowship by the Royal College of Physicians, London in 2012, he has led the field of palliative care in India as president of the Indian Association of Palliative Care from 2010 to 2016 and as a medical director and trustee of Karunashraya Hospice, Bangalore. He is a founder member of ELICIT. As a founder member of ELICIT, he has contributed to national end-of-life care standards and advises the government of Karnataka and the Ministry of Health. Academically, he serves as honorary tutor at Cardiff University and adjunct faculty at Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. A certified communication skills trainer from CRC, Manchester, Dr. Simha has trained countless healthcare professionals across India. Beyond medicine, he is a committed Rotarian and recipient of Rotary International highest honor, the Service Above Self Award. Thank you.
I now request Dr. Nagesh Simha to deliver Dr. M.P. Raju Mysogus Endowment Lecture.
Distinguished delegates, chairpersons, I'm deeply honored to be present in front of you. And we just heard a scintillating lecture by Dr. Janak Desai. And apart from the wonderful work that he's done, what I really loved was the quotations and the slides that he showed. And one of them was that if you ask about what is life, then the question is that you must have a purpose. So when I was approached to give this talk, I was deeply honored, of course, but I was particularly delighted because Mysore, I have a very strong emotional attachment. My father came here as a 4-year-old boy, grew up in poverty, rose academically, and incidentally happened to be a classmate and very close friend of the late Maharaja Jayachamrajendra Vadiyar. And therefore, it delights me to be coming to Mysore again and again. And the second thing is that it gave me an opportunity to talk about my journey in chronic renal failure. Not so much to brag about it or to, to praise myself or others, and particularly my wife, who incidentally happens to be sitting in the very second row. She's got the Rajotsava colors in her sari. Okay, so there. So if I can just kind of very quickly go through, the whole thing, how it started, and then probably I'll talk to you a little more about the lessons that I learned. So it all began after doing a routine dipstick examination of my urine about 33 years ago, and to my horror, it showed proteinuria. It definitely did not register in my mind of what this meant for the future. And of course, God's protective mechanism of denial kicked in very quickly. What followed was total suppression of this from everyone, including my wife. And I would check my creatinine randomly, and it was always normal, so I used to breathe. Say, okay, everything is fine. And whenever I had to submit, they used to ask for blood sugar and urine examination, I'd make sure that I'd get the report from the lab of only urine for sugar, but never for protein, because the proteinuria could be probably picked up. So before my departure for a 6-week trip to the UK for the Cardiff Diploma teaching and to visit a few hospices there, my routine creatinine estimation, which I used to do regularly, was 2.2 milligrams per cent. And this forced me to confront the truth. The fuse was lit. I decided to go to the UK for those 6-8 weeks. I didn't tell anybody. That was the time when my long and treacherous journey on the road of transplant began. On my return from the UK, I thought that I had outsmarted my wife. A clandestine consultation with the nephrologist, they're all very good friends of mine and my colleagues. And then they asked me to get an MRI scan done. And that's where the problem began. Because somebody went up and told my wife, he says, Madam, I saw sir in the MRI room. What is he doing there? And before you know what it is, half an hour later, she comes charging to my room and she says, what's happening? Okay. Then, of course, medical management, renal diet, statins, weight loss, control of blood pressure, monitoring of serum creatinine. My trouser size from 42 came down to 36. And they decided to do a preemptive kidney transplant. And my wife would be the donor. Well, the transplant was there. Hardly any urine output. And all hell broke loose. And they decided to do a nuclear scan and found no activity. But nobody was willing to talk to me and tell me the truth, but I could make out from their face. And then, of course, I was on dialysis for 6 months. And once, I had fever. And again, absolute chaos. They checked they did a culture of everything, and then finally they said it could be probably tuberculosis. So they wanted to give a therapeutic trial, but they said, could we do a sternal biopsy? So I talked to my nephrologist and said, what happens if the sternal biopsy comes negative? He said, well, they will still give you anticox, but I'd be more comfortable if we did the sternal biopsy. I said, I'll be more comfortable if you don't do that, because I don't want to have the pain. Anyway, all that happened, and then I went to Chennai because a cousin of mine was there to donate. And everything was fine. And because of the fact that they had started me on cyclosporin, there was a sudden jump in the serum creatinine. Again, all hell broke loose. Georgie Abraham was my nephrologist, God bless him. And they decided to do a needle biopsy. There was a collection, and it was drained. And after I came back to Bangalore, my creatinine was okay, but I developed a sinus, which was continuously leaking. And so I used to go to work with diapers. And this went on for about probably 2 or 3 months. And then I told my urologist as well as my plastic surgery friend that I think we need to explore. And they explored that, and then they found that there was a leak, a calcium leak from the second transplant. And in order to close that, they had to go in 3 times in a matter of 7 days. Torrential bleeding. My wife gave anesthesia to me, of course not in Chennai, but for all the surgeries other than the day she donated, including the nephrectomy that was done of her donated kidney, she gave anesthesia. And we needed, blood every time. And I have very close friends in Rotary. So an SMS would go from me and my friend would send 3 people. And their blood was kept in the blood bank for 24 hours and given to me. So many of them claim that I am a better person because of the blood that they gave me. When this leak was going on, I used to go to work with, wearing diapers because I didn't know what to do. Anyway, the second the leak was there; it had to be closed. And after that, I had a catheter and a drain for about 6 or 6.5 weeks. And I'm there in the hospital, and as a good general surgeon, I know that you will not remove the drain unless the drain, 24-hour drain becomes less than 10 ml. And so I used to literally carry my Eurosac bag and go to the bathroom and check the nurse, how she would be actually measuring it. And when it reached 9, I would say, it's over. She says, no, sir, there's still 2 more ml or 3 more ml or whatever it is going to be. And then, sometimes, and I'm guilty of that too, you come on the round and say, chalo, we'll keep it for 1 more day, let's be sure about it, without realizing what those 24 hours mean to the patient. So everything was fine. I was supposed to, the drain was supposed to be removed the next day. I was anticipating that I'm going to go home. And then I got a call from my wife's boss, the chief of anesthesia at that time. He was very, very close to me. So he called me and he told me, he says, look, now don't argue. The urologist is not going to remove the drain tomorrow. He's going to remove it only on the next day. So I said, why? He said, you just don't argue. And the reason was that the next day was a Saturday. And he was a little superstitious that you must not do anything on a Saturday. So I just made fun of him. I said, oh, so you're all ready to this thing. And then he was trying to say, but this, that. Then I told him, my dear friend, why don't you just tell me that I'm superstitious and I don't want to remove the drain today? Then I said, tomorrow is Sunday. You sit with your puja and come. Okay, your wife will give good breakfast. And then I had to be struggling here, waiting till 11 o'clock. He says, I promise you. And he came at 6 o'clock in the morning to remove the drain, poor guy. Yeah. So that was it. I thought everything was fine. I started having pain while walking. Then did an MRI. I had avascular necrosis of both hips. So they tried core decompression, drill holes, 45-minute surgery, and 6 weeks non-weight bearing. They did it on both sides, one after another. Didn't work. Then finally they said, we'll go in for a hip replacement. There's humor in life all the time. So there was an Italian surgeon who came, who was an expert on surface replacement. And my orthopedic surgeon said that he was going to ask him to come and do it. So I asked my orthopedic surgeon, I said, sir, this Italian guy, what is his name? So he said, Marega. His surname is Marega, Luca Marega. Please Google if you want. So I told everybody, oh, Marega mein jiyega. So anyway, the hip replacement worked, and then finally I had to go for the third transplant. After about 5 years, this second transplant lasted, and of course the hip replacement was also done. And my nephrologist told me, he said, you can continue if you want to live your life with dialysis. And I feel that the third transplant will work. So I told him, I said, my dear friend, if you insist that I should be on dialysis, I would rather go and jump into the Alsur lake. Okay? Now, he also is a very humorous guy. He just smiled at me and he says, Nagesh, I don't think it's a good idea. because the water in Alsur Lake is very filthy. And there's not enough water for you to drown. All that you'll get is diarrhea. We laughed, and that was the end of the story. I came out, the transplant nurse, whom I know as a student nurse, she held my hand and started crying. I said, "What happened to you?" She said, "I hope you're not trying to do that, sir." You know? So I created a lot of problems for people who looked after me. Tomorrow will be the 19th anniversary of my third kidney transplant. So I'm here because of all you urologists and transplant surgeons and nephrologists. So I'm very grateful to all of you. And of course, I'm ever grateful to anesthetists because my wife is one, apart from the fact that she looked after me. So I thought now, enough of all this story. Oh, I did this, I got that, I was in trouble. So what are the lessons that I learned because of this? Complications can happen in the best of hands. My wife's, what she donated, the graft got thrombosed. It's a technical fault. And my urologist, my wife has been part of the transplant team. They've done hundreds of transplants, and we know the competency of everybody there. But it just happened to me, right? So whom do I blame? Nobody. It just happened to me. There is a law in nature, which I heard from our mentor, Dr. R.M. Verma, the famous neurosurgeon, when he came to see me when it was obvious that her donation had failed. So he told me, "Son, remember one thing, there is a law in nature that whatever comes out of chaos is always of a higher quality." And that is exactly what has happened in my life. Then people say, "Be positive." What do you mean by be positive? Do you put your finger into the positive terminal of a plug and say, "I'm positive now"? No. It is acceptance of your situation. I decided, God knows why, I decided at the age of 3 that I wanted to be a surgeon, not just a doctor. And imagine, after the third transplant, my nephrologist very hesitatingly told me, that I don't think it's a good idea for you to continue to practice things. You must trust the treating team. And, the AV graft that was done at the time of the second transplant, that lasted me till I had dialysis before the third transplant. Phenomenal. Sadly, the vascular surgeon who did it, brilliant surgeon, passed away of Alzheimer's. But it worked till I had dialysis before my third transplant, and within 2 days of that, the graft got blocked. So, there's a power above that does that. Challenges bring families, either they tear them apart or they bring them very closer. My wife had to contend with 2 young children, my aged parents who were totally lost. My mother went into kind of depression. And there was one time when my mother had a fracture and she was on the 10th floor of the hospital and I was on the 8th floor. And she was going up and down. And so as a family and also my very dear friends in Rotary, we came very close to us. Communication is very, very important. And this is where I tell people. I have been teaching communication skills for a long time. And I found that my doctors were very, very hesitant to tell me things that were not going on all right. In fact, on one particular day, when they were exploring me for the third time for the leak, and my urologist wanted to say that if it bleeds like hell, they will have to remove that kidney. And he was struggling to tell me that. And I was so, unkind to him. I made him sit down and I said, "I will teach you how to break bad news." Using the spikes protocol, as I taught him. He was hopping mad with me because you're not able to. So my message, and this message is not only to the youngsters, this message is also to the seniors. All of us think that we are extremely good at communicating. But many, many times I find that even senior people, I'm 72 running on 73, okay, I thought I was a great communicator till 30 years back when I got into palliative care. That was the thing. Now, any such crisis, as they say, is not the end, but the bend in life. Very good. They make you stronger. How do you handle the question, why me? Neither my wife nor I ever asked that, why me? Okay, and if somebody asks you that, you should not give an answer because nobody knows. Okay, as my wife, as a devout Hindu, a Vaishnavite, she always believes that everything is care of the guy up over there. A lot of people had suggested do puja, do this, do that, etc. We have agreed to do it just because of the fact that the people who asked us were very close friends. I went to Velankani with a very dear friend of mine, a devout Hindu, an Ayar Mama, but for some reason he and his father believed in Velankani. So I said, I'll come with you because you have, said, I will take Nagesh to Velankani. But no conditional worship, no saying if this happens, I'll shave my head, I'll go to Tirupati, nothing of that sort at all. Now, what is my status after I gave up, surgical practice 19 years ago? First of all, I think it was good that I left general surgery because today I believe, or even then I believed, that general surgery is the dustbin. True general surgery is the royal dustbin. Okay, hemorrhoids have gone to the vascular surgeon. The circumcision, a lot of people are there competing, urologist, plastic surgeon, pediatric surgeon, and the Maulvi in the mosque next door. So there's nothing left for a general surgeon to do. But more importantly, the zing for it had gone. But the universe had other ideas for me. I was involved in setting up of a cancer hospice in Bangalore called Karunashraya. The trust was formed 31 years ago. I decided to devote my full attention to that. I qualified in palliative medicine and somebody sent my name to the Royal College of Physicians of London. And I am in FRCP London. They even asked me when I die, would I mind my name being in the obituary of the list of members? I said, I have no problem, please go ahead. So you can imagine that the universe gave me a totally different purpose. And, as the previous speaker said, that you need to find a purpose in life. What's my current situation? Okay, after the hip replacement, I had some back trouble. I'm reasonably good. I have a very large ventral hernia, which is resulted due to the time they opened me 3 times in 8 days, and my plastic surgeon threatened the urologist, you open this guy once more, I'll put a zip. You can open any number of times. And I keep trying to tell these fellows, why don't you, please at least sort out that ventral hernia. I look like a post-term pregnant woman, but they have refused, and then now I'm coped with it. Okay, I look fat, so what? That's all right. But that's my coping. The other thing that has happened is that maybe it's the effect of the steroids, I don't know. I've become very, very emotionally very labile. I will see the same movie, I can recite the dialogue for you, but at a particular point of time, I'll have tears. Not just tears, I'll cry, literally cry. And I happened to meet the Dalai Lama through, incidentally, Professor Venugopal's nephew, who's a cardiologist. His son is an Indian Foreign Service officer who was working with His Holiness as a part of the Ministry of External Affairs. And I had the occasion to go and meet His Holiness. And when I went and stood in front of him, although I tried to, psych myself to not get emotional, I wept. And of course, I don't have the picture to show, but His Holiness held my hand and put it on his forehead for about 20 seconds, I think, So I contend with that. When I travel, I plan my toilet visits better than Chief of Army Staff will plan for an invasion against Pakistan. That is my thing. But I'm grateful to be alive. And finally, the beginning of the title was, This Too Shall Pass. So when I was very sick and lying there in bed with the catheter and the drain and everything, so I asked a pathologist friend of mine, could you give me a book to read? I'm not very fond of these big novels. So he gave me a beautiful book, and I recommend all of you to get it. It's available on Amazon for 500 rupees. It's called Light from Many Lamps. Beautiful book. And in that, I read a story. The story goes that there was a king, of the ancient East, who asked his wise men to give him a mantra by which he could rule the kingdom in good and bad times. And it should be so short that it could be engraved on a ring. And of course, it's attributed to Mughal emperors, it's attributed to King Solomon, whatever. They came with this thing, this too shall pass away. And a poet in America by the name of Paul Hamilton Hayne is one of the many people who wrote poems on this too shall pass. And I will read that, and with that I will conclude my thing. Art thou in misery, brother? Then I pray, be comforted. Thy grief shall pass away. Art thou elated? Ah, be not too gay. Temper thy joy, this too shall pass away. Art thou in danger? Still let reason sway and cling to hope, this too shall pass away. Tempted art thou? In all thine anguish lay one truth to heart, this too shall pass away. Do rays of loftier glory round thee play? King-like art thou? This too shall pass away. Whatever thou art, wherever thy footsteps stray, heed these wise words. This too shall pass away. Thank you very much.
I thank Dr. Nagesh Simha for his wonderful lecture. I request Nagesh Simha to receive a token of appreciation from Karnataka Urology Association.